Not everything your barista friend told you is true. Before you get your first home espresso set up, let's clear some things up. All right, here I have some of the most common coffee claims. Fact or fiction, we're gonna talk about it. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let's give it a shake before we grab our first coffee claim. First up, we have espresso beans are different than regular coffee beans. This is one that I hear a lot, especially from new or first time home espresso enthusiasts. This is fiction. There is no such thing as an espresso coffee. Espresso is just a brew method, so you can use any coffee you want for espresso. If you see espresso on a bag of coffee, all that means is that the roaster who created that coffee and put it in the bag, they selected the green coffee, they roasted it and blended it with espresso brewing in mind. They came up with this roast profile and blend and thought, this is gonna taste great when brewed as espresso. That doesn't mean you can't try it on other brew methods like a pour over, cold brew, drip coffee. One of my favorite things to do is actually take a coffee and brew it as espresso and then also try it as a pour over, just so I can see what the different brew methods bring out as far as tasting notes. Give that a try. If you have tried it, let us know in the comments and let us know your thoughts. Let's grab another myth, give it a shake, and see what we have next. Next up, you need an expensive grinder to get good espresso. This one, I would say, is fiction with a little bit of fact mixed in there. Your coffee quality and espresso quality, I'd say, is at least 50% up to the grinder. That being said, you don't need to spend $1,000 on an espresso grinder to be able to get into espresso at home. There are some solid options at around the $200 price point. There's even less expensive options if you look at hand grinders. So you don't need a crazy expensive grinder, but the quality of your coffee is related to the quality of the grounds that your grinder can produce. Typically, if you spend more on a grinder, you're going to get larger burrs, which will give you better grind dispersion, which equals better clarity and more depth of flavor in the cup. So while you don't need an expensive espresso grinder, it can help. But a more expensive grinder doesn't always mean that the money you're spending is going towards the things that affect how the coffee tastes. More expensive grinders often have features like sound deadening or a better touchscreen control for grind timing, or some of them will have a scale built in, or they'll have cool colors or wood finishes. So do your research on grinders. You're more than welcome to talk to us. We're always happy to help with any product questions. But this one, I'd say, is fiction with a little bit of fact mixed in. All right, let's see what's next. Shake them up. An expensive espresso machine will automatically make better coffee. That is fiction. I think about this the same way I think about instruments and music. I'm a drummer and I'm always on the hunt for more gear. And something that I hear a lot is a better instrument doesn't make you a better player. And I think that relates to espresso as well. A better espresso machine won't change the quality of your coffee if you haven't put the time in to develop your skills and knowledge on how to use it. So a more expensive machine can make better coffee, but if you haven't put the time and effort in to refine and develop your skills and knowledge, it's probably not gonna help that much. All right, let's see what we have next. You need a dual boiler or PID as a feature on your machine. This is fiction, in my opinion. You might beg to differ, and if you do, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Personally, I think that these two things get thrown around a lot on coffee forums, on social media, just in general. People say, you need a PID, you need a dual boiler. And I think it's kind of the easy path to take when talking about home coffee equipment. But you really have to understand what your goals are with home coffee, because a dual boiler machine with a PID has a lot more that goes into it, so it's going to cost more money, or you're gonna have to look at a machine that maybe doesn't have as good of build quality and isn't going to last as long. And I found that if you just wanna make a cappuccino with a traditional medium dark roast coffee, a heat exchanger machine without a PID is gonna do great. People have been making coffee that way for a long time. If you took a trip to Italy or somewhere else in Europe and you had great coffee and you're trying to replicate that at home, those machines weren't dual boilers and they didn't have PIDs, most likely. Most likely they were heat exchanger machines. They were using that traditional medium, maybe medium dark roast espresso blend, combining it with milk, and something magic happens there. So you have to know what your goals are. Are you wanting to make single origin, super light roast espresso and just go straight into the deep end with coffee as a hobby? Or are you the kind of person who just wants a tasty cappuccino and a machine that's gonna last a long time without much trouble? So think about what you want before you buy your machine, and don't just go buy something based off of buzzwords. All right, let's see what's next on the list. Making espresso at home is too hard or too much work. This is fiction. There are a wide variety of machines out there at all different levels, from completely super automatic to very manual, lever to semi-automatic and everything in between. For example, I hear from people all the time that they don't want to have to grind the coffee and tamp it and do all that, but they still want cafe grade coffee at home. That's why I like the Breville machines so much. Breville has done a really good job of making home espresso approachable. Their Express Impress or touch machines make it really easy to learn the home espresso hobby without having to have a PhD in coffee. All right, we got 2 left. Let's see what we have left for these ones. Super auto espresso machines are always lower quality than semi-auto machines. I think there are a couple different ways that I could approach this, but I want to talk about coffee quality specifically. This, in my opinion, is fact. There are a few hard set things that you can't change about the way the super automatic machines make coffee that just can't compete with a good semi-automatic and a separate grinder. For the most part, super automatic machines are limited by how much coffee they can use per drink. Most machines use a maximum of about 14 grams of ground coffee per drink. Some machines can use more, but for the most part, it's around 14 grams. If you compare that to a semi-automatic, most people are using anywhere from 17 to 21 grams per drink. So right there, you're gonna have a difference in the concentration of that final product. In simple terms, the espresso from a semi-automatic is gonna be stronger. Additionally, on a semi-automatic machine, you're grinding the coffee a lot finer than you are on a super automatic. Yes, you can adjust the grind size on a super automatic machine, but the way they operate, it just doesn't work the same. If you compare the brew times between a super auto and a semi-auto, you'll see what I'm talking about. On a super automatic machine, most of the time a double shot brews in 10 to 15 seconds or less. On a semi-automatic, your target time is 25 to 30 seconds for the most part. Practically, this means that the coffee from the semi-automatic is just gonna have more depth of flavor. It's gonna be richer, there's gonna be better clarity, more of the tasty notes are gonna come through. If you've tried coffee on a super auto and a semi-auto and compared them, let me know what you think in the comments. I've done this quite a bit, and so I feel like I have a good bank of experience to draw on here, but I'm always happy to be proven wrong. All right, let's grab our final claim. We got one more, and it is, you need every coffee accessory to get started. This is fiction. I'm a proponent of starting with minimal accessories and learning as you go and slowly adding things in. While some accessories can help you achieve a better final result, I found that they can make the espresso process a little overwhelming if you're new to it. If you're trying to remember to do WDT and a distribution tool separately and add a puck screen and a filter and all this stuff, that's a lot to keep track of. And I know myself, if something's that complicated, I'm probably gonna lose interest in it. And so I recommend starting simple because there's just so much to learn right out the gate with learning how to dial in a grinder, learning ratios, all of that. So start simple and then add things in as you get more comfortable with the hobby. Personally, I had been resistant to a WDT tool for a long time. My friends joked and called them head scratchers because we just thought they looked like those things you scratch your head with. But I started using one a little over a year ago, and now I really like using it. I've noticed a big improvement in my overall coffee quality. I did not first, but now if I do an A/B test and try one with and without, I do notice a difference. But like I said, start minimal, learn the basics, and then add to your routine and see what makes sense for you. We make a lot of coffee content just like this. So if you want to stay in the loop, make sure to subscribe to the channel and sign up for our newsletter. We also want to hear what you think about these coffee claims. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you there.